Whenever excavating around underground utilities, always review any documentation relating to that site. Examples include any customer-provided prints, redline drawings from a previous crew, and, of course, the dig ticket. Before even thinking about doing any kind of excavation around an underground utility, always review that dig ticket first. Because if the dig ticket isn't good, then absolutely no excavation may be conducted on site. You may as well not even waste the time and effort unloading the tools, equipment, and materials. That dig ticket must be valid before any excavation begins on site. To be considered a valid ticket, any and all excavation cannot begin before the start date and time listed on that ticket. No excavation may begin or continue past the expiration date listed on that ticket. All excavation work on site must be conducted within the geographical parameters defined on that ticket. If additional excavation needs to be conducted outside those defined geographical parameters, then another dig ticket request must be submitted for the area where the additional excavation work is to be conducted. All utilities must have documented responses in the affirmative before any excavation may begin on that site. Verbal OKs are not acceptable responses. If we hit any underground utility, and I do mean any underground utility, on a verbal OK, we may as well write them a blank check because it's going to be their word against ours, and they are not going to want to pay for repairs any more than we do. Do not accept any verbal OKs. If the locator or utility owner is claiming they cannot update their response due to a glitch with the one-call system, then get them to confirm it in an email, complete with the dig ticket number. That way, should it hit the fan, you'll have the individual's name, the documented OK, date and time of the documented OK, and the actual ticket number. And please, double check that the dig ticket numbers match. If they decided to pull a fast one and change even one of those numbers in that email, then we own that hit. Finally, know your individual state laws when it comes to these dig tickets in the one-call systems. Some states require a 2-day lead time, some require a 3-day lead time. Some require the excavation must begin within 14 days of that ticket's listed start date and time, while others don't. Some state tickets have defined lifespans, others are immortal. Again, know your state's laws. Now compare that ticket to the site. Identify the caution zone or the tolerance zone for the marked utilities. This is the area within 60 inches of that marked utility. If there is any excavation to be conducted within the 60-inch zone, then that marked utility must be located using soft excavation methods. Once the marked utility has been located using those soft excavation methods, then additional excavation may be conducted using mechanical means, but only after measures have been taken to protect that underground utility from mechanical damage. Some acceptable forms of soft excavation involve, of course, the shovel. Granted, the utility markings may not be accurate, but exercise due diligence and don't start digging directly above the markings. Starting here is greatly increasing the chance of damaging that utility. Start from the side and work your way toward the utility. This may take some additional time and effort, but it's a hell of a lot faster than having to shut down the job and fill out an incident report. Keep the spade parallel to the utility as opposed to perpendicular. Doing so reduces, not eliminates, reduces the chances that the spade will be chopping that utility in half or breaching the line. Whenever possible, make an effort not to punch or stab that spade into the soil. Doing so greatly increases the potential of damaging the utility, which again is another reason why you want to keep that spade parallel to the utility. Yes, this is obviously dependent on soil conditions, and if the soil conditions make shovel excavation all but impossible or too much of a risk, then consider the use of the hydro excavator. The hydro excavator truck, or vac truck, uses water and vacuum pressures to excavate the soil at pressures that can be adjusted so that they are insufficient to damage the underground utilities. High-pressure water jets loosen the soil, turning the soil into a muddy, slurry mix. The powerful vacuum then removes that loosened water and soil, leaving existing utilities intact and undamaged. Another option is pneumatic excavation. There's a couple of different varieties of this. One is referred to as the air wand or air spade or even the air knife. This pretty much just blasts focused streams of compressed air into the soil, breaking it loose and displacing it. The downside is flying debris. Hydro excavating has its fair share of flying debris, but the effects are multiplied when using this form of pneumatic excavation. Environmental conditions may eliminate this as an option for your particular job site, such as substation environments where flying debris runs the risk of chipping or breaking exposed glass insulators, or when the public may be exposed, where debris can strike pedestrians or chip car paint. A variant of this method is the air vac. Now the air vac is pretty much like hydrovacing without the water. The benefit here is that instead of having to haul the slurry off-site and hauling backfill on-site, you can just turn around and use the very same soil that you displaced as the backfill. And of course, since the soil is being sucked up with the vacuum hose as it's being blasted free, the hazards of flying debris is significantly reduced. Once the utility has been located and exposed, then mechanical excavation may begin as long as methods are used to prevent any contact between that utility and the excavating equipment. Always use a spotter to monitor mechanical excavation and to provide the necessary guidance when the equipment is operating within the 60-inch caution or tolerance zone of that exposed utility. Placing a shovel between that exposed utility and the ongoing mechanical excavation provides a barrier of sorts for that utility, but more importantly, it serves as a high-vis marker for the operator, indicating the utility's actual location, so that if during the mechanical excavation, should that shovel move, then the operator can pretty much assume that the utility has also been affected, and can conduct an all-stop before things get out of hand. Regardless of all of these requirements, however, the spotter is still required to be present and must have eyes on that utility whenever mechanical excavation is being performed within the 60-inch caution or tolerance zone of that utility. If during the course of a mechanical excavation the spotter loses line of sight with that utility, then all excavation must stop, just like when backing a vehicle. The spotter losing sight of that utility may be as simple as the spotter's perspective has changed, or maybe some soil has caved into the hole, or the equipment operator may have inadvertently piled spoils up and over the utility. Not only must there be an open line of sight between the spotter and the exposed utility, there must also be an open line of sight between the spotter and the operator. And just as it is between the spotter and the utility, if the spotter and the operator lose sight of one another, then all work must stop until that line of sight can be reestablished. Whatever the case, it doesn't matter. All work must stop. The issue must be rectified so that the spotter, once again, has eyes on that utility before any mechanical excavation resumes. A few final points when conducting the mechanical excavation. Always position the equipment so that the spoils are being pulled away from the utility. This significantly decreases the potential of a bucket tooth snagging the utility or objects in the spoils, like rocks or stones, from being pushed up against and potentially damaging the utility. It also keeps the spotter from having to get closer and closer to that struck by and crush zone created by the moving boom, just so that they may maintain a line of sight with the utility. And finally, communication. Granted, the official hand signals are highly recommended when utilizing hand communication between the spotter and the operator, but they are not mandated. Unofficial hand signals may be used as well, just as long as there is an effective means of communication maintained between both the spotter and the operator at all times. Be aware that whatever hand signals are used, they must be agreed upon by both the spotter and the operator before operations begin. So, although the rolling booger is not an official hand signal, if both the spotter and the operator agree that this means proceed very slowly, then by all means, roll boogers.